I can fix them up with you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith, who has the kind of what we call the puff top look. That's the new style, puff top.
I've had this hairstyle 1,000 times on this show. You know,
yeah, 1,000 times.
And it's called a pineapple.
I call it the puff top. Okay? It's a puff on top.
What you call yours?
Just a flat top. The Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
it's a puff
the
top.
CB.
You don't like puff top?
Yeah, that's
I think
cute.
puff top sounds good. Better than pineapple. Who wants to wear fruit on their head?
It immediately gives you a visual, though.
That doesn't look like any pineapple.
It's a pineapple.
No.
You see my round head,
right now, as I speak, when I say to the people that Rogan has a puff top.
Anyone who has natural hair knows what a pineapple is.
That's finished with now.
It's not a puff top.
It's now, see, you watch it. And every time you do that, you go, let me put this in the puff top today. Okay? You go into the hairdresser. Hey, how y'all doing, girl? Hey, girl. You know, that's what they do they do that, right?
Nobody does
that. Hey, girls. Hey. When they get high pitch, hey.
Nobody does that.
So then they say, so would you put it in the puff top today? Let's put it in the puff top.
When I go into the salon to pay for them to put, I almost say the puff top.
Yeah.
I put in a pineapple before.
You feel.
I can do that myself.
You feel you can go into the store and say pineapple versus puff top?
Because where I'm going, they deal with natural hair, and so they know what a pineapple is.
Well, you know what's
going to happen? But I wouldn't go
happen?
there to get a pineapple.
Let me tell you what I'm going to do. It's something that I don't do a lot on Saturdays. I have no life. So on Saturday, I'm going to go to all the salons.
You need to go to the natural hair salons.
Okay, if you can give me a list of natural hair. Well, I just go to them and say, excuse me, are you a natural hair salon? If they say no, I'll say, okay, well, listen, you have a good day, girl. If not, I'll say, listen, the pineapple, cross that off, and now we're changing that name. There's been an official cosmetology messaging that says the puff top.
Changing the messaging.
Yeah, the pineapple is no longer. It's now
putting your
puff
marketing
top.
skills to work.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
Hey, girl.
That ain't catching on.
Yeah,
that's
and then I'll sell them some like puff top accessories or something like that.
What could you possibly put up here?
Well, a little bow or something like that.
No,
a little bow.
One woman.
Maybe some glitter. You know, y'all like that little glitter.
This must be for kids.
Okay.
It's so silly.
So, well, let me tell you something about silliness, Rogan Smith. If there were no silliness, we'd be doomed. Imagine if we were all serious all the time. Not good.
And any extreme is bad, because if you're silly all the time.
I don't think I'm silly all the time.
I'm saying if you're silly all the time, any extreme is bad. Yeah.
Anything in extreme, correct.
Yeah.
But you need to have balance.
You have balance in your life?
I think I don't think I'm on the extreme either end. Mm-hmm. I'm not like on the rooftop looking down. You know what I mean?
What about the job?
I just said looking down, okay?
About the job.
Yeah. So, I'm more like on the, that's like the spread.
It's a good balance for you, though.
It's like the joke, and I don't want to say Spanish wells because that would be, be condescending. So I won't say that. But I'd heard a joke from a particular area.
Spanish wells.
And say, how do you normally commit suicide? No. Why is the suicide rate in this place that I'm not going to call so low? Mm-hmm. Ever tried jumping out of a basement window?
Yeah.
Okay. That's them people there. They like to wrap them down.
This mic smells good.
Oh yeah. Well,
Kendrick always has it. No, Kendrick always has in here smelling nice.
I can assure you.
This microphone smells really good.
Any microphone, what do you call those things? Wind protector?
The windscreen.
No.
Oh, Kendrick, I knew it.
You're out of your mind. Give me this.
No, he's not. Kendrick. That's your trademark. When Kendrick's not here, I know.
Thing?
You're so smart because people putting their mouths so close to it.
Yeah, but because you spray it, does that mean that you take off the bacteria? Is this antibacterial?
Well, I don't know all that, but it smells good and it makes me want to get close.
Health Guard.
You bought that yourself or the company? Oh, see, pick up to the Tribune. Pick up to the Tribune radio station.
But it's okay. All right,
they into good hygiene
Fresh
around these
linens.
parts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's what it smells like.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Kendrick.
Yeah. So, how was your weekend?
Well, was gonna do the golf thing, and it
By
rained.
the way, you know the penalties, right?
Penalties?
I was taking care of that, so that's off now.
So you're not taking care of it anymore?
No, that's a rule.
That's fine. I already looked up the price.
Yeah,
I'll go.
It's called humor. It's humor. You have to go with it.
I know if you. Nah, I don't know if you're being serious or not.
You have to go with it. You're not good. You know what?
So you still paying for it?
All of these years, Kendrick, on the radio, and she doesn't know how to go with it.
Listen, you still paying?
That isn't how you go with it.
How you go with it?
When
okay,
I say,
start again then. Start again. Okay, start again.
I say, well, you know, and it's not even funny anymore because you're taking away the whole thing.
Okay, fine.
Okay, but it would have said something like, once you make an offer, that dead now.
Roll up, babe.
You see?
But anyway.
That dead. That's a dead move. Okay?
I really was looking forward to that. You now have to pay me. Excuse me? For what? You giving me the lessons, eh? You see how my neck gone, pa?
Yeah.
It's like a cobra.
One of these days, y'all women, you can do a move like that, and you can be paralyzed. Why? How did you become a paraplegic? Oh, she just did a neck thing.
No, man. But I was looking forward to that. And then the rain came down like
it wasn't
crazy.
Raining.
Yes, it was. And the instructor
said it was raining.
It was raining.
Okay.
It
just
was
so
raining.
You know, if you want to be a golfer, as long as it's not lightning, you golf.
Well, I called him, and I said I was dressed and I'm driving to go to Paradise Island. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know what? Yeah, let's put it off for next Saturday. So it was bad. And then after that, it cleared up and it got sunny.
Yeah. Do you have the CCTV recording of where you were?
I was a Go Slow Bend.
Okay, but there's a
but
CC.
I don't have a CC. Okay, no, I don't.
Right. Okay. Well,
eyewitness account.
Because you see, this is the other thing about lying. Okay,
I'm not lying.
Okay.
And don't make me
call the amount of lies that people talk about with people who are going places like driving to somewhere, it's nothing but lies. Yeah, I'm 20 minutes away.
No,
they
I
really
don't. No.
They really mean 35 minutes, but they know how to panic you.
Let me tell you something. I hate that, so I never do that. My mommy used to do that.
I'm at the Hilton. That means they might go to a bed.
My mommy. Let me tell you something. When I was a young reporter, I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
And I was working at Love 97. And so my mommy used to pick me up.
Oh, you used to get drop off.
I used to get drop off and picked up.
You was catching right.
Okay. And she would say. And this is the evening I get off, like after 7 p.m. Yeah. She'd be like, she's 5 minutes away.
Yeah. Because.
Hold on. And my brother would call back and say, Ro, we're Bacardi Road.
Okay, that's 5 minutes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So she's 5 minutes away. Love 97 on East Street.
Listen to me. Do not, in my presence, put Illy down in my presence.
Illy is a liar.
Okay?
5 minutes away.
It's 5 minutes if on a transporter beam. Road. You did not say to her by car. By transporter, you just beam me up, it take 5 minutes.
A woman said, okay? Hold on. So I stepped outside waiting for her saying, okay, she's 5 minutes away. She'll probably be coming any minute.
Like a JA?
Yeah, like a JA. A big JA. Thank God my brother was decent enough to say, Ro, we Bacardi
Actually,
Road.
I think your brother's a pimp. Okay? He pimped on Illy. So I'm not into him.
So now, I would stay outside on East Street in the dark?
No. But if you know her to be a liar, and I'm not saying she is, okay, because that's my check. Don't just wait inside. You know it's a lie.
No, because then you just want to hop in the car and go.
You know you're not hopping in 5 minutes.
Well, in 5 minutes.
Okay? So, because people have a thing about pickup, trance, when you have to wait on trance, they don't want to put you in a state of panic. If they say to you, I'm 45 minutes away, she knows you. You can get some suck teeth. She can see the neck on the phone. All of that stuff is going to happen. So she'd rather just deal it and lie. And then when she get there 45 minutes late, she can say, well, an accident was in front of me or something like that.
It's a lie.
Okay? You know what I mean, Kendrick? An accident. Okay.
I don't like that. That's just, and because of her, I don't lie to people about my location. If I'm 5 minutes away, trust me, I'm probably 2 minutes away.
I have to say on public radio, Illy, being on Bacardi Road and staying 5 minutes away from East Street, that's a little much. Okay? That's not how you do it. You can't be in front of accident. You can't be in back of an accident every time. It's like running out of grandmothers.
I give her props though. You know why? I credit her for the fact that I got a
car.
Now
because you want to go home.
Because I got my car immediately after that. I said, I can't take that.
All right. Yeah, well, maybe that's what she was
trying
to
to So that was a good incentive.
Maybe that's what she was trying to do.
I had a car before.
Maybe she
was
trying to push you to get a car.
Then I came back and I didn't have a car.
Maybe she's trying to push you to get a car. Get you on trance.
And even though I want to get her back sometimes, it ain't in me to let her wait that long.
And I hope, because I'm with Illy on this, on everything.
Okay,
I hope that when you took your sour A in the car, you didn't act up.
Yes, I did.
No, but see, that's why she was late next time again.
That's why I just get it right.
You like that, sour A?
What does the A stand for?
Same thing as Jack A. We'll be right back.
Just thing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with TAGG, Rogan Smith.
No.
What's with the no-nos?
No.
What are you? Not? You're not? Okay.
No.
All right. Stand up. Let me see something.
No, excuse me.
Can
you stand up. Let me see.
Okay.
Just what I thought.
Yeah,
Awful.
I see it.
Awful.
I see. Yes. I'm glad I stand up because I see.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you see that?
When? Yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our guest this evening is going to be the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, who is running for the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party. So we'll see. I mean, it'll be an interesting. I think it'll be an interesting conversation. I disclosed very proudly that Glenys and I were we went to QC together, class of '75. You know, we've had our reunions and all that kind of thing. We're pretty good on that. And so it's going to be good because true nationalist, and certainly, I wonder, I'm going to ask her, this will be a question, is like, did she ever see herself, getting to this point, Because I don't know if a lot of people see themselves getting to this point.
Yeah. I remember Mrs. Hannah Martin from when she first was stepping on the scene politically.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was to a town hall meeting at one of the hotels, and she and Allison Maynard Gibson went up to the microphone to ask a question. I don't know. I just in that moment I was really impressed with her. She had her hair differently, and she was asking some really good questions. And I don't know. It was a good first impression. You know what I mean? When I saw her out there.
Yeah. She was saying when she had a fro.
Well, she had like a little bob, but like a wavy kind of bob thing going on. She was very nice.
Everyone in our school, in our class back in those days, men and women had the fros.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the thing in the 70s. We were just hip. So anyway, we've got with us this Monday we have.
It's a candy. I can feel it when you walk. Even when you talk, it takes all.
I can show you some
But
things.
twice. Damn.
Well, yeah, definitely. I know what you're talking
But
about.
that was.
Yeah, well, anyway, don't panic. So whatever you do, what can we say?
No,
okay, I
gotta
can see now.
He's gotta see. What's up, y'all?
Is
that bad?
Yeah,
I
action
didn't
pack.
say it was bad.
Yeah.
Huh?
I refer to it as action pack. You know what I'm saying, Candy? Candy, what happened, man? You like the word action pack?
No.
Action pack.
Action
Boy,
pack.
y'all, let's crack me up now.
Y'all
No,
does.
y'all do.
Y'all, let's crack
I
me
could
up.
sit down and listen to y'all.
So, what's going down?
How was your
Prince.
weekend? Prince?
What?
The purple.
The purple. Purple rain.
Purple hair. Yeah, what's happening?
I get lots of compliments on
I
this.
didn't say it wasn't.
and,
I mean, it's a thing. I'm just observing.
What
I
is
might
it?
go brighter.
Magenta?
You might see
Like what, like pink?
electric.
Oh my God.
I just
you
want-
come in and you see me go
I
like
think
this?
every week I'm coming to just see how freaked out
You
I
ever
can
watch?
make
You ever watch AGT? America's Got Talent?
AGT, yeah.
With that woman, what her name is? Spice, the Spice woman.
Melby, oh.
And the last one,
You
with
saw
the
that rainbow hair? Yeah,
it
that's
was all on
too
her
much.
forehead and things.
I didn't see that.
She slipped back.
And then it was all glittery too.
It looked terrible.
looked
It looked like, it looked
Not
like.
that it looked,
What
that's
which
just not
else
my
call
jam.
that stuff you just put on dolls? Crystalline or what?
Dolls.
It's like, it looked like it wasn't hair, it was like some kind of material.
Crendolin? What are you talking
What'd you call
about?
it?
I
What'd you
don't
call
know
it?
what
Call
you're
it?
talking about.
Crendolin?
Yeah.
I
It
don't know
just
that
looked
you put
terrible. It
on-
just looked terrible. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's her thing.
Yeah.
That's her
She
thing.
had some other ones where it
Rainbow
was
and
just
glittery.
blue and all that and it looked okay.
Hold on, 'cause I'm looking
But
at
when she went with
my
that rainbow,
God.
I just-
that looked like the hotter it gets.
Oh my God. No. Guess. Let me show Kendrick.
Let me see. Let me see.
It looks so tacky.
I think
Yeah.
even the Gets
But
would say,
hold on.
girl.
It looked tacky.
She
Oh,
looked like
and
she'd
then
do that
it-
like with some tape.
And then it's
And then
got
spray.
the glitter.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all terrible.
Really bringing
yeah,
attention
yeah.
to herself.
Hello!
Not like me with the purple.
I watched Oprah Winfrey on 60 Minutes last night.
She was on?
She's now
That was that
a
debuted
correspondent.
Oprah?
Yeah.
Yes.
On CNN.
Stop lying.
And let's face it, she's only because she's Oprah. That's all. I'm not a, I
not an Oprah
I think
fan.
she's okay. I think she's, fine. But I'm just not overwhelmed.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
You
And
know.
I like Oprah.
And she, everything is O. And anyway,
And that's okay, Ed.
it's
That's
okay.
okay.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
So I had a good weekend.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to ask? You're not supposed to say it.
I don't
Okay?
care, but I
We're
really
supposed
it
to say,
doesn't matter to me.
How was
then
your
you should
weekend?
ask
No,
them.
I don't need to. No,
You gotta be-
because I know you were
do
going
know the
to ask, so
protocol?
I saved you a step.
Are you aware of the
I'm doing
protocol?
great. I'm doing great. So no, the family's doing fine.
You know,
Yeah, no,
you got
work is
to know
going
the
great.
protocol on this
Let's
stuff,
go,
man.
Wait for people to ask you the
No,
question.
man, let's skip the
Who,
step.
me? No,
let's
I'm
skip
doing
the
great.
step.
I don't know about y'all. I had a great weekend. Y'all suck. Come on.
Wait, well, since no one's going to ask, I had a
How was
great
your
weekend.
Candy.
No, it was
No, I
great.
really want to know. How was your
Candy.
weekend?
It was
Candy,
good, man. I
can I
had a
ask you a
good time.
question?
I lived life.
How was your weekend?
You know,
It's
it
the
was
same question, boo.
Boo? What is this? Casper the Friendly Ghost? You had a good weekend?
I did.
Okay.
What did
and
you
what
do?
did we do?
Follow-up question.
Went to the water park. Hung
Okay.
out
Where,
there.
Atlantis?
WP?
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know,
I love it.
little child, a friend of ours, their daughter's birthday was this weekend, so I took the kids, and
Oh,
it was a
that's
really
nice.
nice time.
WOTWP?
Whatever that is.
Why don't you stop doing that?
Hey, just nod and grin.
Went over to the water park?
WYP.
Went over to the water park?
Well,
WYP.
that's not a thing, Ed.
It is.
Not a thing.
Once you do it, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you went over to the water park.
Yes. And so
Okay.
that brings me to my.
Did you get wet?
I went in the pool.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
A lot of men even say go to the sea and think they don't go nowhere in the water.
Oh, I love to see the
listen.
little treatment cap
No,
on.
no. I saw that too.
Not a
You
real
saw the
cap.
treatment cap over so?
I did.
Okay, girl.
I did.
It's
I did.
summertime.
I don't know water getting all up underneath.
And then I saw, oh my goodness, I saw someone in a full outfit. Not like, you know,
To go in the water?
some people wear the shirt or the pants. No, man. This looked like church outfit.
Going in the water?
Heels?
Going in the water?
In the water?
Heels?
Stop lying.
No heels.
Okay.
But I was like,
I'd like to ask another question because I think you see this at this time of year.
People
You
who-
get different
who
price points.
bashful.
I don't think that.
You're so sick. You're so
Wait,
sick.
wait,
you see
When
me,
you
I'm
get to
getting
the
ready.
price point
You
thing.
see me, I'm
Watch
getting
this,
ready.
watch
I'm
this,
getting
watch
ready.
this.
I don't think that
You are so
if
silly.
one buttock weighs more than say 20, 30 pounds, you should try that thong thing.
Thong?
Yeah.
The thong?
Or is it just that everything becomes the thong thing?
I think if you're confident with your body, regardless of the size,
Look at your
if
boy
you,
Ken, he got like this.
yeah, man. If you feel confident,
Yeah,
man, by all means, wear
Boy,
it
but
because
Okay.
they checking for you.
But are we
Boy.
comfortable? That's the question
No,
I'm
but
asking.
it's not about your comfort.
It's not about me. Okay,
No,
okay.
it's
Well,
not about your comfort.
Hey, now I know.
You ever wear a Speedo, like on the beach and stuff?
Mm-mm.
On the pool?
No, man.
Would you wear-
I realize wear
Your
t-shirt.
birthday coming
You
up.
wear t-shirt?
No, no. I wore Speedos when I was a kid, when I was on a swim team.
You would, but you
I live in
what
shape.
Speedos are
do you
making
wear?
a comeback. The
Yeah.
shorts.
Yeah.
It ain't coming back for Eddie.
What you wear when you go in the pool, Candy? You don't wear like pants and top and all that stuff over it, right?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, so you
No,
have
I wear a
thing.
bathing
Okay.
suit.
All right.
You know,
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
bathing
man.
costume. That's
Huh?
what they used to call them in Derbyshire. You have your costume, bathing costume.
Some of the people, what they wear is a costume
Yeah.
into the water. But I mean, it's what's good for the person.
goose, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
what's
So
going
we
on?
were. So I was over there, you know, with the kids, and so my topic was about, and I just talking with my husband, and if you could do it over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these, you know, this is for people who already have children or in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could have that conversation with your then
Significant
boyfriend
other,
or then girlfriend,
Partner.
talking
Your partner.
about having children, what would that conversation sound like or look like? Knowing what you know now, and knowing you know what kind of mother you are and what kind of father your children, you know, your husband is to your father to your children, and even, you know, like what would you do differently?
We'll go
As
buy
a
and
parent?
do cement.
Yes.
Knowing what you know now?
Right. Like, what would you ask for? What would you say that you would want from your partner as to be, you know, as a parent to your children? Because, you know, sometimes when you get into these relationships, you don't know what kind of father or mother you're going to be or your partner is going to be. And then you get into this kind of thing where like, oh, okay, well, we didn't discuss that.
Like
or
what?
we
Didn't
didn't
discuss what?
Having children, you
just
mean?
not even having children, but child
way
rearing,
you
how we
raise
want to
them.
raise our
I
children.
see.
You know, what we're going to do and how just down to everything. I mean,
Very
education.
few people do that. They just sort of bring the child here and figure it out once they're here.
Exactly, right. And then I would assume that at that point in time, you really don't know what you want until you're in it, right?
Don't you typically don't find people typically want to raise their children the way they were raised? Like whatever their upbringing was like, they tried to use that when raising their kids?
Not all, because
Not
you
all,
might be
no.
Unless
like
it's abusive.
You might get slapped
Right.
up.
Even some people who get slapped up would say,
Yeah.
well, I used to get slapped up and they ain't kill me,
Yeah.
so I can do the same thing to my kids.
Or if you were more liberal in your child rearing compared to your partner, then what? Oh, well, I want,
This is a good conversation to
Right.
have, yeah. Because that could create a lot of problems when the individual,
can.
You have two parents, one over here is a disciplinarian, this one is like, kind of, however you want to do your thing, they'll go with it,
I know Ed is going to say something about this, but I'm bringing up a celebrity situation just because
Yeah.
everybody knows about the situation.
What's
but like,
that?
look at Janet Jackson, for instance.
Oh, I haven't been following what's going on with her kid, but what's happening there?
Because, well, with, she's divorced or divorcing her husband, and I think it had to do with religion.
His customs, because
Right.
of his religion.
And how he wanted to raise their daughter, and it was different from what she wanted.
Their
But
son.
I'm like, didn't y'all know that prior to?
Yeah, she should have known his religion
But
and
he
his
should have
customs.
known too. So you can't just blame it on one side.
Yeah,
You blame it on the
both of them.
gender.
You
Okay.
see, but
He was
so
going
that's
after
why I
the
bring that
JJ.
up. Like,
That's a good
when
point.
do you figure? Okay, well we'll just work that out when the baby comes.
Yeah, that's exactly
He wasn't
what.
focused on that.
No, he was
He
just.
was focused on the Rhythm Nation.
I don't know, or
or
Rhythm
the Rhythm
Nation was focused on the billions.
Well, whatever. They was focused on something else.
But not
Okay.
with the method.
He was
Nothing.
focused on the Rhythm Nation. She was focusing on the Bank Nation. So,
Yeah, but,
so
yeah, the
'cause I think-
focus is
I think
all in the wrong
I think the deal
area.
was she got if she stuck it out for X amount of years, she got $500 million.
Well, you sure know a lot now.
5 years, and
Well,
she
I was
got
on
it.
the thing with Craig Smith now.
And she got it.
You
She
know a
stuck
lot.
it
I
out for
was
5 years.
For 5 years and one
How
day.
much she gets?
She got like $500 million.
$500 million.
$500 million.
Yes.
No,
he's,
see,
he's
no matter
worth,
how much you do your neck, it's still
It's not-
500
right.
million.
No, that ain't no way it's all that.
Okay.
He's worth billions. This man.
Listen, let me tell you something. This is the
She
way that the
actually
world
divorced
goes.
her on
You see, that's why I tell
50th
you
anniversary.
this Adam and Eve stuff is malarkey. Because
you going on.
No, I'm just saying because you see, the challenge for him was a little bite, a little apple, a little palm.
No, you don't think you.
In this case, your boy giving 500 million. Once brother man want the thing, he get what he get that.
He get what he get do.
We get that. And if he have an extra $500 million.
He does
would that
have an
give-
extra $500 million.
And also he thought
Obviously.
maybe she ain't gonna make it for 5 years.
Well, she did,
She did.
and she got
That's a
it.
lot of money.
All them from Georgia.
And
a
you
lot of
know,
money just-
I think yes.
Well, but I don't know, amount of money. If
So the
I
first
really
3 years
miserable,
slide by quick.
I can't thug it out.
The first 3 years probably slide
I
by
can't.
quick.
Right, that was quick. And they probably lived separately for the remaining 2.
They each have a jet, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm going on tour, honey. So
Yeah. But anyway.
No, but anyway, going back to the topic. You see what I mean? Like things like that. I mean,
they are unreal scenarios, though, of course.
what's that?
There's more real stuff like what you're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
no,
in
I mean
every
talking
day,
about
'cause-
religion. I mean even something as simple as I'm Baptist and you Anglican.
Yeah.
you know, well,
With the
your
child
child's
getting
coming to
christened, no, who church you going to?
or I don't believe and you do believe. Oh, that's another
a big one.
Yeah.
That is a huge
And how will
one.
you raise your child in that
I
environment?
have no children with you.
Yeah, well, no problem.
But
You
you
do
need
what
to
you
know
wanna
that
do.
before, right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people do know it before, but they so caught up in love that they just proceed anyway, and then they buck problems, and then they scratch their heads.
No, the key
like-
word is buck.
They buck problems, and then they scratch their heads.
And
People overlook things, and then
Yes,
the little
the kick
things
out.
become bigger things. They buck. They buck. You got a problem with that, Otnell?
No.
He's just getting his little giggles
I know.
on over here.
No, but that is a very, and I know a situation like that. I know so many situations.
And
like that.
why I bring up the parenting is because, I mean,
No one checking for that.
no. Yes, parenting is. Listen,
No, I
if
mean
you were
before. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
the talking before. I mean, I know. I'm saying the problem is everything is a fairy tale.
right, okay,
The marriage is a fairy tale. It's like we're gonna get the dress, and now they're going deep. I don't even want to tell you the things I see people doing now. And then, of course, children are kind of almost a byproduct. You know, it's almost...
Hey, that's a long byproduct.
But you know what I'm saying, right? They're not thinking ahead of the game. They're in love. They're in love.
There's some people who see these signs, and I feel like they just ignore them. And I think the three of you could answer this more because you three have raised kids with either your spouses or your significant others, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, have you guys bucked any problems?
That's
run
the
into
word
any
of the day.
That's the word buck. Buck into any problems like that?
I mean, I think so. I mean, in terms of, but not until you reach a situation do you know how you're going to react with it, to it, or you're not gonna. I guess you're not gonna know how you feel about everything right away.
Well, I mean, and you would take my situation. I don't go to church. If they want to go to church, fine. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying like don't go to church because I don't go.
Right.
Knock yourself out.
Or don't take my child.
Yeah.
Take it, please.
Because you have people like that too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want you filling up my child's head with that.
Right.
No, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I try to go calm. That's what I try to do.
Right.
Because it's you talk about this in general terms. Forget about just the children rearing and all that, right? There's got to be some kind of desire to go toward calm. Because, when you're having a discussion over one thing versus the other, right? Unless it's extreme, like I want my child to be a Satanist. I mean, come on, then you're going to go like, can we hold the brakes there and can we have a discussion about that? But, the nuances or the differences, right, are really not always that extreme to where you can't compromise. Because what's the negative?
Or...
I'm just,
Or you could have an expectation of your partner, in terms of like, this is the kind of, father I want you to be to the children. Like,
prescribing the other person should be.
Yes.
Ooh.
Because
I'm a fan of that.
Yes, you have in your
head. Oh, you're a fan of that?
Yeah.
You have in your head. I mean, I'm sure men do it too.
Yes,
like, I know what kind of mother I want for my kids.
Exactly. So don't come like that's only one-sided. Men.
No, I'm saying that shouldn't be the case in any side.
No, because
but it is.
The prescription.
If it's my child and you, if we gotta take a break though.
Yeah,
let's take a break. We'll finish.
We have to do this next.
That's
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields, along with Rogan Smith and Ken Williams on the thing. I'm out of breath, and it's because I don't like breathing. Candy, so what's going on?
I already told you what's going on, Ed.
Oh, so you finished?
No, but we had a good little conversation on the break, though. Off
I mean, it's not really related to the topic,
but that was a good conversation.
What you wanted to bring it up?
Well, what was it about?
We were talking. No. We were talking about.
You don't match?
No. We were talking about being unequally yoked and how I was telling them how I had a conversation in my office some years ago with a few women who were saying if they had a choice between choosing if their husband dies, like let's just say they're in a boat and about to drown, choosing the husband or the child, they unanimously said they'd choose the child.
Yeah, of course.
And of course. And then the conversation spilled into like Facebook, and people were saying, all the women were like, yeah, of course I'd choose my spouse, my child over my spouse. And all the men said that they would choose their wives. And I said
they're afraid.
I don't think so, because they went hard. Like explaining everything. I don't think that's an easy decision to say.
Of course it's not an easy decision.
And I said at the time, I felt like the women who were so quick to say, I immediately saved my child, like they weren't truly in love with their husbands.
No, I don't believe that.
That's what I believe.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't be an easy decision.
Okay, of course it's not, but if you have to make a choice, so like Sophie's Choice, you remember that movie?
I've never watched that, but I
she had to choose between two children. That is an impossible choice. Mm-hmm. But the choice becomes between the child and first of all, I would probably volunteer myself first.
Okay,
that's number one.
So that's something different.
Well, that is different. But I'm just saying. But if I didn't have that choice and it was between my wife and my child, let me tell you why I would choose my child. I think there's a blood thing that's thicker, but also because the child has a future. I mean, at 50 something years old, you've run the course of your life.
No, you haven't.
certainly the child hasn't. So that's the point I'm making.
They haven't experienced life so much so they could go.
Well, anyway, I'm choosing my child over the wife.
That's fine.
Just like the other women.
That's just not an easy decision. I can't even understand it.
It's not easy, but once you have a child, see, I'm saying once you have that child, maybe you might understand that a little bit more. When you have a child, it is the worst pain on the planet when something is going wrong with that child. It's terrible.
I feel like if you're truly in love with someone, truly, this is my,
hold
on. This is my opinion. I feel like if you are truly madly, deeply in love with this person who you created this child with, or even if you didn't create this child with, it is not an easy decision. And you said it's not an easy decision.
Not easy,
and I'm not going to say I'm automatically going to choose my child.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say
I'm not.
Because you have the choice to make.
But
you have to make a choice.
I'll have to choose in that moment. But in this moment, I'm not going to say I can let my man drown.
Okay, well, you don't let your man
drown. Or my
man
get killed or whatever.
So we only talking about that. We ain't talking about the other part.
Oh, what
she mad now.
I'm telling you my point. What you talking about, Candy?
Because didn't we say about the spouses and parents?
Oh, Kendrick revealed something.
So you're gonna let Illy die over
what I'm saying is, you say now you're not gonna sit here and say that you can let your man drown, but you can let your man drown for your mommy.
Mother, yeah. It's blood. That's the whole point.
I was only teasing with him. I was only teasing with him.
That blood connection.
Yes, it's
deep. It's deep. That's why people get divorced. You know why people don't get divorced? One of the number one reasons why people don't get divorced is because of the child. Because they don't want to make. Whether it's stupid or not, I'm telling you, that's right. It may be stupid, but I'm just telling you the reason. It's you hear it all the time. I'm staying together for the children.
And you know, as somebody who has been in a family where it was divorced, as somebody who's been in a household where the person didn't divorce and then divorce, the child knows when the situation is not a good situation, and they might love their parents, but they do not want them together, and they're waiting for one of the parents to just make up their mind and just move on.
Well,
that ain't the easy decision.
Say something and make it
easy. I'm talking about where the child is clear and makes that child. I'm granted that parent would be gone.
Okay. Well, that's a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. There's so many factors involved in that y'all would never understand.
No, we wouldn't understand.
No, you wouldn't.
Because we don't have any children.
No, y'all just wouldn't get it.
What?
No, you just wouldn't.
What do you mean?
No,
what
she means like if there's a case, you can have all kinds of scenarios going in house abuse, all kinds of things. I get that, but I'm just saying in a say, where it's just the parents having a problem, nothing with the children, no abuse, no fighting, no nothing. Right. The two people don't get along. That's what we're talking about.
And I just spoke to someone yesterday, a child. Who says these two people are together and they wish they would separate?
Okay, have they told the parents that?
They should tell the parents.
Yes, they have.
Okay, well then
the parent ain't going nowhere.
Well then that's their problem. Now that's a different story. They can't blame it on the child.
Right. You're talking about, to your point about staying together for the children or whatever. I'm just saying it's a silly excuse, and if you don't want to be with someone, you just move apart.
When the child is 4, it's kind of hard to,
When the child is what?
4.
Oh,
and
so kids at 4 are indiscerning and smart enough to say, I hate coming in this house?
No, they're not. Anyway, I don't want to have an argument over it.
Hey, that's a whole other topic.
We got to run, Candy, because our guest is waiting for us. She has to leave early today.
Oh.
So we are going to wind that up, and we'll see you next week.
And
wind it down.
Bye.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith trying to take it down a notch. Once she gets on a roll, boy, she's on a roll. You know that, right? Once you get on a roll.
That's me.
That's right. Rollin' Rogan.
Rollin' Rogan.
Rollin' Rogan. There you go. So our guest this afternoon is the Honorable Glennis Hannah Martin. You know that tickles me, right? No, it doesn't tickle me for the bad way. No. They wouldn't understand, Glennis.
You mean because you all went to school together?
Yeah. But I think you were honorable since then.
Honorable?
Since then.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the Glennis Hannah Martin, who is a former Minister of Aviation and Transport, and now let me put this out there, vying. Yeah. For the leadership of the Progressive Liberal Party. First of all, welcome, Glennis. Good
Thank
to see
you very much.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure, Ed, because I know you've been
You're
doing
still
this for
looking
a
good,
while.
Yeah,
You
this is
too,
the first time, right?
Rogan is gorgeous now. Let's get
No.
yes.
Listen. She don't have no vote. Okay? She ain't got no delegate.
Okay.
So move away from that.
Still good.
Thank you.
Yeah, we we're 1975 veterans of Queens College. So this is the first time I've interviewed you. I don't interview people who I know because it's kind of funny. No, I mean I'm saying I know there are people who I know, and then there are people who I know.
Oh, she's in the latter.
Yeah, you
That's
see,
why
that's
she
like
ain't been here on the show.
no, I mean, so it's kind of tricky.
I know all your secrets.
So it's kind of
going there?
Yeah, no, we ain't going there. So it's just kind of tricky,
Yeah.
So it's but it's okay.
Yeah,
So you are, I'm going to ask you because I could tell the secrets because you're with one secret I could tell people.
Oh, no,
I'm telling you, I'm sorry,
no.
you can't control me.
It better not be embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing, but it's
There
funny.
you go.
Just imagine though, okay, the mini skirt, okay,
And the afro.
and I told him about
Now
the
I
afro.
would see that.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
the mini skirt and then mini skates. They was
Super
mini.
short.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't move,
Super
man. It was
short.
you remember the mini skates, right?
I remember.
Okay, so anyway, y'all just
I
keep that in
remember.
mind, okay?
That was the style of the time.
That was the style of the time.
The 70s, not 60s.
The 70s, and we had the big,
Good
big
music
bell bottoms and all that
just
kind of
just
stuff.
a
yeah.
joyous celebration. of
Everyone was
life.
cool.
It was
Everyone
cool, man. It was a good time.
So listen, so when you were pull your chair up a little
Sorry.
bit for me. When you were, rowing me out and stuff in Queens College, did it even? Because we were wrong about politics from that time.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
face it, we were. Did it even? What was in your mind? I knew you were a nationalist from that time. You were, just gung ho all the time. But did you ever see yourself getting to the point where you would rationally in your mind say, you know what, I'm going to one day be the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party?
No.
Okay. Let's go. Well, listen, thanks for coming.
Thanks
I know
a
you
lot.
got to run.
Yeah.
No, I never in my wildest dreams. The 70s was a wonderful time because it was a time we went into independence, and people felt a sense of being and empowerment and just coming of our own. The music was good. We had the year that we were in, we just had a wonderful mix of people, men and women, boys and girls from different communities, and then you had the hostel, which had children from the family islands,
right.
and so then it's just a really wonderful mix, and so that's what I remember feeling more than anything. I didn't have them sort of mature ambitions or anything of that nature.
But you would at least have been more, say, enveloped a little bit more than say the rest of us in politics because of your father, obviously.
And her mother.
And so you would have been, your brothers. That would have been a thing for you.
Now that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let me just ask you, when you were in school, we were 15, 16, 17 years old. Did you see that? Did you consider yourself to be more serious than the rest of us? Did you think that you knew what was going on? I don't mean that from a.
You
I don't
knew
mean
me,
that
so
from a-
are you seriously asking that question?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I don't mean that from a they stupid type of thing, but as opposed to you just felt more in tune to what was going on.
Yeah, I felt I grew up around this thing, and which the proximity had both parents involved, and so by just naturally you'd be exposed to it.
Right.
So I was listening and hearing and learning. I remember hearing Clarence Bain, and I remember seeing Milo Butler in my father's law office. I remember being once or twice on the Southern Recreation, hearing the speeches and the music, and then it's sort of and then I in my father's constituency I started walking with him when I was about 14, and he really became like a political role model for me. He's my daddy, but this is strange. He had like a dual place in my psyche because I watched him politically, and I listened to his speeches, and he really truly inspired me with his vision about how our country should move forward. And so maybe in that way, I was more political and infused with the political thing than maybe others,
At what age then did you decide that that this was something that you wanted to pursue, this political career?
I didn't make that initial decision. I was asked to speak at the PLP convention, which I really didn't want to do, but I did it.
What
And
year
When
was
was
that?
that? Yeah.
Boy, I think that was 1998. And,
Okay.
I came with the radical concepts about decriminalizing marijuana,
Yeah.
looking at the
we get that done
diversification of the economy. I don't know. No, but, you see what happens with young people with these things.
I tell people, Gladys, we say it all the time here. It's not even a subject of decriminalizing marijuana. It's not criminalizing
Right.
people.
Right. Well, that's true. That is true. And that's heartbreaking
Yeah.
what we see happening.
Yeah.
So that's
At
how
the
it,
convention
at
in
the
98.
convention 98. And then, once you're in the mix, then people keep calling you for this thing and another. And then I ended up chairing the women's branch. And
That's right.
one thing led to another. And so that's really how I sort of fell into it. But at some point, I was into it. And, and that's where I've become very, very serious in this undertaking.
Because 98 is not far,
No,
it's not long ago.
No.
I mean, that means that you got into that later in life.
Yeah, I was late. I was what, 40 or something,
Yeah.
or my 30s, late 30s.
Yeah,
really.
well, you and I were in the same class, so you were 40. I was probably like about 20 something.
Lies.
But let me ask.
But can I ask you, were you supported by your dad when you decided to make that trek into
I
politics?
did, and I said, Daddy, what's your advice? And you know what he said? He said, when in doubt, do the right thing. And I thought about that. I said, what does that mean? I mean,
Yeah.
that don't give you no specifics. But it's been a guiding principle, even in the most difficult of things you're facing. When in doubt, do the right thing. That was the only advice he gave me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never
simple as that.
discouraging you, never saying go for it. Just you make up your own mind on that.
Yes.
We were telling Bradley, we had Bradley Roberts on, and we were saying, the right thing is always the right thing to do.
The right thing.
Is always the right thing to do. But so when you were before 1998, did it even occur to you to even just say run? I mean,
No
You're
way.
busy doing law and all that stuff.
Everything, yeah, no way, Jose. I always saw myself as a sort of supporter of my father's campaign. That's really,
Right.
I wasn't even mainstream PLP. I was a fan of his political life, and even more so than any of my siblings, even though they all chipped in. I was a real fan, and so I really followed his career. And so no, I never got to that point where I want to run.
All right.
No, no.
You
But let me
were-
say again, when
Yes.
he gave me that advice, that's after I decided to run. And I said, what advice will you give me in politics?
Right.
And that was what his advice was.
Okay, gotcha.
So now we are here where we are.
Yeah.
And, we got to touch on this just briefly because you got to run, so we got to get a lot of stuff in. So obviously, circumstances lead to things, right?
Yes.
Someone once told me, politics isn't about, friends and foes. It's about circumstances, right? It's about situations. Things arise. So you find yourself now in this situation, in these set of circumstances, where the PLP have 4 sitting members in the House of Assembly. The reality is the leader, except in 1 or 2 instances, usually come from the House.
Yes.
So this is where it is.
Right. And that's really, obviously I have views about a lot of things because we had a major defeat at the polls. And so, and then, the seats in Nassau are political base. So obviously, if I'm serious about what I'm doing, and I'm very serious, I had to contemplate, I had to meditate, and I had to determine to make a decision. And it was really more instinctual, compulsive in its origin. It wasn't like, I think it wasn't like that. It was just the circumstances that compelled me to say that I got to step up.
Yeah, because now oftentimes, and I know you're going to round me for this, oftentimes in politics, and I've seen it, people find themselves in positions where a lot of people are pushing them, right? And sometimes they make decisions that sometimes go against their own, something they wouldn't ordinarily do. You're saying that in this instance, though, you felt the call. You felt the need to step up. It wasn't that people pushed you.
No, nobody pushed me. In fact, I believe when I said that, people were wondering what I was doing. In fact, they have theories that I'm operating at the instance of third parties. Obviously, it's how women are viewed to some extent. They can't believe that a woman want to stand up for her country. I was thinking today about an image when I went to Cuba when we were celebrating 40 years of relations with Cuba, the Bahamas. I went in place of the Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time because he was off I don't know where he was, but anyway, I went. And I remember going to a museum of women, and there was a picture there of a woman there, and I think she became one of their ministers in the government. but she had the
rifle.
She had one of these heavy weapons, and I don't want a weapon, but I'm saying that no, I don't want one. I mean, not like that. No. But the point I'm making though is that it was interesting to see how they valued the role of women in the revolution, and when I heard these things come with this, that, and the next, I said, it's we got a long way to go to really appreciate what we're dealing with the Bahamian woman.
My daughter, I was telling Rogan, and we'll go into the break. We saw this transgender thing on TV with America's Got Talent or whatever it is. And so I said to Candace, I said, so you think we can handle that here yet? And Candace just without a stop says, we ain't get to where we can handle women yet. We'll be right back.
Of politics before.
Right.
Of course, I've been to all the islands over and over.
But you weren't vying for these delegates.
No, and so you begin to see things in a very different way, and you garner a greater appreciation. And I think that it has helped me tremendously to understand more fully the nature of our organization, and also to be able to better articulate on behalf of those members, because, with stalwarts, there is this thing that stalwarts of this, that, and etc. But as you meet stalwarts, you met one in Exuma, and he was in his 80s, and the way in which he was able to articulate his experience and his involvement politically, the way even today he continues to observe what's happening in the country, and his loyalty, unflinching to the organization, really gave him a state of activated state that I had, I'm not sure if I understood all of the whole nuances of the stalwart counselor. And so, I'm trusting that when they go into the convention that they will vote in a way that's futuristic for the party, not a holding pattern. Yeah. But this man, Exuma, I believe, would think futuristically. So, it's been a very good experience.
Okay. George Smith was here last week, Thursday, and we asked him about his thoughts of who he felt would emerge as the leader after the convention. And he said, while he had a great deal of respect for you, he felt that Mr. Davis would emerge as the leader. I want to first know, what do you think you would bring to the leadership of the Progressive Liberal Party? And is the party ready to have a female as a leader? We've had a deputy prime minister and, of course, members of parliament, but is it ready for a female leader?
Okay, that's two really tough questions. I mean, on the first point, I think what I will bring to it, first, I'm experienced. I'm now a veteran in the parliament. I've represented my constituency in now my fourth term. Not many women in this country have reached that. I think Janet Bossy is the only one for her party, and no one in my party in the first time. And I have served in government. I've sat around a cabinet table. I've had a tough ministry. I think we made great advances. I am absolutely someone who subscribes to the original core ideals of the party and its meaning to our people. I have absolute belief in the Bahamian people. I believe that our people can achieve anything they put their mind to, and that governmental policy must fuel that innate quality of our people. And so that is what I bring all of that, and I think that I think I'm capable, and I've done so. I've worked hard. I've maintained a focus. I've set goals that we have achieved, and so and I could not have said that maybe 10 years ago. It's been a growing process. And this time I was the only PLP candidate to survive in Nassau politically. And I don't think that's a fluke. I don't, it could be, but I don't think so. And because I was surrounded by constituencies that fell, but I was able to go in there and hold. And I'm hoping it's because I have some level of credibility with the people I represent, that I take seriously this undertaking. On the question of women, we have to see whether or not the party is ready or the country is ready. I don't see what the fuss is about. I don't see what the fuss is about, because I could tell you, pound for pound, I sit around a table with men. They know what I bring to the table. I know what they bring to the table. They know I could arm wrestle. I ain't that strong, but they know that. That when you look at the portfolios, I had other colleagues. I mean, they know that I've delivered to a large extent on behalf of our party. And so I don't, I think that we'll have to see. I don't.
You don't think it'll hold you back?
No, but I'm hearing that it's being put out there. It might be a red herring. And it may be that my good friend George Smith may suffer from that. I don't know. I don't know him that well. I've not tested that issue with him. I know he's loyal to Philip Davis, and that is the outcome he would like to see. But personally, I'll be disappointed if that is an issue.
I mean, you'd think that in this day and age where, where Germany, the world, that we pass that, but that'll be a test of us.
It'll be a test.
But I want to ask you, and this takes away a little bit from, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to talk to delegates. Mm-hmm. Having a radio show is good, and hopefully some of them hear these things. But do you think, from what you've seen, that it's time we move away from that kind of closed system, and that if, and again, I know all of these things have to be very guarded in terms of without alienating people, that if the system were more open, that the chances of a woman, for that matter, anyone, would have a greater, because it's so closed and so, alliances and this and that as opposed to truly representative.
But, this was the original methodology of electing leaders. Of course, that was 60 years ago plus. Mm-hmm. And so the question arises now, how do we more... let me put it this way. I have no difficulty with that concept. And in fact, Alfred Sayers has made recent recommendations for the amendment to our Constitution to include and to allow for our membership at large, meeting certain benchmarks and being in good standing being defined. Being able to participate in the leadership thing. And I don't have an objection to that, because that is a very broad-based endorsement. Mm-hmm. I think that as much as we can do to encourage genuine participation, which is not based on anything other than the expectation of good leadership in the party, is something that I will support wholly. My concern arises when people start getting, things get mixed up, and then you start thinking with this thing, and which has nothing to do with who leads the organization.
Well, maybe let me ask you a question then. In your platform, so to speak, of taking the Bahamas, not just a progressive liberal party, but the Bahamas, to the next level of political maturity. Are these the kind, when I looked at Mr. Sears' manifesto, for instance, you saw elements in there, and I mean, he's not vying for this position now, so we can refer to it. You saw elements in there that created a more progressive, you're a progressive, a more progressive Bahamas. Yes. Are these the kind of things that you would start to cause to evolve?
Well, I start from a fundamental premise that the Bahamian people are really an outstanding people, fundamentally. And however, that when you look at the challenges that we face and the major serious indicators of what's happening in this country, it tells you that there's a disconnect between the source of who we are and what we're doing. And so any policies that I would engage or promote or perpetuate would deal with that dilemma right there, because you want an economy, in our economy, for example, while we have a global reality, and I understand that, I think Bahamians more and more feel like they are being pushed back out of the picture, and that we're becoming voyeurs in our own economic reality. And I think that we have to find ways to better engage Bahamians in our economy, and to have greater stake in what this country has to offer. Because otherwise, what's the point? I mean, just to say you're working, or you're just to say whatever. I have this very serious vision that in this country and my father says it, and he says that we must build this country with our own hands, and that coming from that concept is one that speaks to an ability to do whatever needs to be done, whatever. You might need some professional advice, some consultants, whatever, but that we start with the premise that we are able to do these things. And so from that point of view, I would like to see policies that lead to the well-being of our people and our country.
Quoting our, because we're like MSNBC, we have contributors, and George Smith is our contributor for the PLP. Right. So, but he had an interesting quote. I know that Ms. Smith remembers it, and the quote was that when the PLP took power in '67, they were so focused on giving people jobs as opposed to giving people opportunities. And there's a nuance there, right? In terms
Right.
of, would you prepare people, how you prepare people. You could give someone a job, but you need to prepare them for
But
opportunities,
can I
right?
disagree with him a little bit, may I?
Yeah.
Your contributor.
You an next
You can
contributor.
disagree with whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me.
I think that.
I'm buying, you can disagree with me.
Not yet, but we heard
Yeah.
your name in
That's
the
right.
mix,
Yeah,
so
don't worry
Ed.
about that. But I have the mix now.
And I send you a text.
But
I
you
say,
send me a
Ed,
text and you see where the cake
I
is.
say, Ed,
I'm
what
over
you
here.
doing? What you
in the
doing?
cake. I'm over here. I eating the cake. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think you have to have an appreciation of where we were at the time and the absence of opportunity, the limited educational opportunity, access to education, all of these things. We were in a very underdeveloped state, and so. We're a young country, and so everything is a journey. Some good things happen. Not everything happened, and no one gets to do everything. I wish I could have done everything in the 10 years I had in governance, but I was not able to achieve that. But some good things happened. I think the story of governance and nation building is a continuing one. And so, unless there was, you want to say that there was something that ought to have been done fundamentally and was not done, I'll disagree with that. But I think that it was always said that this issue of the economy was the one outstanding sort of
But
place.
even to this day, having been in government, still involved, both governments. Yeah, and you and I have sat across the table from each other. There's a thing about jobs. You're a representative. There's a thing about jobs, right?
Yeah.
And I don't disagree at all with you in terms of the premise of you have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But the capacity to tweak. One of the things I feel, Glennis, and quite honestly, is that one of the things we have not done over the course of 40 years is both constitutionally, both in the parties and nationally, we have not sought to tweak. It's kind of like we're going on the same track.
But you know why? Because I think to a large extent we've become so politically divided that it's really dumbed down the dialogue in this country. I mean, you may not like to hear, but I mean, truthfully, we've become so. What color you're wearing, and then you get stuck on this, and then people end up on, depending what side you're on, you rationalize anything politically, etc. And it's not helped to advance the dialogue in this country. So I think that I think that at the end of the day, there are continuing obligations for us to continue to take the thing forward, and that's what we have to do on the economy, the job thing. I can be honest with you, especially when the economy crashed. Because people were catching almighty hell, and I mean your job. But I could tell you though, certainly that was a necessity of the economic reality. But from a philosophical point of view, the big picture, that cannot be the be all and end all of how we see the energies and aspirations and intellect of our people being expressed.
All right. How does Glennis Hannah Martin then, with all of this stuff? And by the way, let me just say, maybe I should have had you on a lot longer.
You should have. Why you didn't?
Because I told you at the beginning of the show, I don't have no friends on. I don't know people who I know don't want to be on. Now, the question I'm asking, so now that I know
so
you can
come back.
You can come back.
Who you went to the prom with?
I meant to the multiple proms.
No, the Queen's College class of 75.
I went at the 75. I went with Raquel.
Okay, Raquel. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember Raquel?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. She was a sauce. She was a sauce.
She was a sauce?
What that is?
What is that?
Top of the pops.
Oh yeah, she was beautiful.
Listen, well, why you just asked me that out of the blue? You wanted to go with me. You wanted to go with me.
Secret.
So.
I had a date, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, but that's
Hello.
Right, yeah. But I mean, I don't know.
And it wasn't no QC boy. Okay, local fellas. All right.
Yeah. So listen to me. With all of this, stuff, what do you do as leader of the Progressive Liberal Party? See, because this is where I lose it in politics. It is the single biggest problem. Okay, you're seeing it just go out of control in the United States, and it's almost like I saw something on 60 Minutes yesterday when Oprah Winfrey was talking to this focus group, and most people believed that the divide was going to get wider. Okay, so what do you do?
You mean the divide in the United States?
Yeah, the divide over there, right? So if there's a divide here, what does a leader of a party do to cause that divide to? Because let's face it, We're a tiny place. Like, I know Glennis.
We're all
She wanted to go
related.
to the prom with me.
Don't try that. Don't you try that.
Okay.
I will remind you
were
of something,
too
but I
local.
will
Don't remind me now.
You were local.
You know that question you asked me in English class? Okay.
Okay, well, see, I don't remember that now. That's see how much she liked me. She remember all the questions. See that? No. You see, she remember all the questions.
Well, you know.
But no, the point I'm making is we are a family, right?
Yes.
How do we just wipe out all of this stuff?
Yeah.
And just, when I come to you with a bar of gold, don't think it's contaminated because you're wearing one thing.
I think that it's a very delicate process, and which doesn't make sense for me to say it that way, but it's the way it is, because you have your party, your base, which is expecting the hardcore political dialogue, and then you have the undecideds, and then you have your opponents. And you probably won't win over many of the opponents. You might win one or two from that base. But by and large, it's the undecideds that really swing an election. And so I think that what you have, I think it's about raising the dialogue. And while you have to try and give them the meat, so to speak, but at the same time, you have to take the dialogue to new levels. To be honest, I talk about my father again. I didn't know I was going to talk about him so much, but he was able to do that very successfully. And I'm still trying to figure out what he did to do that, because he was able to cross. People have respect from across the board, and I'm, and I ain't sure I necessarily there yet.
It like it is. See, you tell it like it is, because you talk about this thing about the base.
Right.
You ain't gonna lose your base.
Right.
Your base is, unless you really alienate them, you're not going to lose the base. What I find is that the politicians speak too much to the base, as opposed to that middle ground.
I absolutely agree.
Because the base will come with you. I mean, unless you just go completely off the other extreme, right?
And and the other point to that, Ed, too, is that really, in truth, you're a leader of the base. You lead the base. You understand?
Who's that?
You
mean what? You?
A leader leads the base.
A leader leads the base?
Yes. Yeah. Are you with me?
No, I'm not with you. I'm confused.
Yeah, I totally get it.
A leader leads the base. So if you continue to pander to keep it down here,
okay,
then you won't have the growth of the base. The base got to be the base got to be informed, intelligent, progressive.
Yeah.
And but knowing that the base got to be moving with the flow.
Right.
You can't be stuck down there with this, that, and the next. And you got to be moving, advancing, and going ahead with progressive leadership.
But it seems that we've, to use your word, and I use this because in fact when I was doing this thing, we the people, I talk about pandering to the lowest common denominator, right? It is very easy, it is very safe to be in that cocoon, okay? But then when you wake up, you find out, you know what? A lot of people ain't checking for that.
But me personally, I don't feel safe in there because there's always a bigger picture. You see, you can't, you don't live in bubbles. You live in a country, and the murder might happen down the road there in someone's community. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, we all feel it, because it's one of our promising young sons, and like you say, we all relate. We related blood-wise. We're related because you did a lot of in marrying. What do you call it?
You're not related to me.
No, I'm
That's why you could take me to the prom.
But I'm saying these small communities, you'd be surprised. This family thing is so extensive. Right. So how we could be warring to the extent we are, it's just something to see. It's just very interesting study.
You wanted to.
I was going to just ask you, is the music on?
No,
what state is the PLP in today?
The PLP is, well, I'll state the obvious. We lost the general elections. We lost big. We reduced to 4 seats. One only in New Providence. That's where we are on that surface. In terms of where we are in real terms, we are a party that has a very strong ideological base or basis. And there may be some who have lost confidence in our commitment to those things. And I think that Bahamians by and large appreciate what we believe in as a party. And I think that the test for us is going to be how do we, in the way moving forward, begin to win back people who have been alienated and to capture new voters as they come up. And voters who didn't support us in the last election, the undecideds, how do we begin to position the organization after having such a convincing result, which spoke loudly? Yeah, very loud voice. How do we then move from that to a place where they begin to look at us with new eyes and to gain confidence? I think that the PLP is alive and well. for a number of reasons, and but we have a lot of work to do.
Do you think that there are individuals in the party who want to see the status quo tossed by the wayside and see a new day, new thinking,
That's
new
me.
leaders?
That's me, Rogan. Listen, yeah, and that's what.
In addition to Glennis Hannah Martin,
No,
is there an overwhelming voice that's saying we want change? We saw what didn't work in the last election. Now we want change in this party, drastic change.
I think it's hard to say definitively because you don't know until you count the votes and you see the direction of a result in an electoral process in the party. Mm-hmm. But I am trusting that. That the people, the members of this party, the stalwarts and delegates and members, wider membership, does understand that there are some very serious major steps that have to be made to get back to the place I just described, or to recover a new place in the psyche of the Bahamian people. So I think that I'm trusting that is because that's the only way I will win, because that's my message. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you said, because I actually just wrote something for tonight, and it's the exact words you're using. A new day, right here.
Did you run that speech by me? Let me ask you a question.
Ed, you wrote it, and you're a closet PLP.
A closet. Let me ask you a question. The previous race between Loretta Butler Turner and Dr. Minnis ended in a very toxic type scenario where essentially Loretta Butler Turner is no longer on frontline politics. Does that dynamic exist where whether you lose or whether you win or your opponent wins? I mean, you come together, right, afterwards?
They never got to the vote, you forget that part.
They pull out,
There was a lot of dynamics that led up to it, and I think that that's what was very different from what we're doing now. I'm the leader of the opposition business in the House, appointed by the current interim leader, and so we don't have those kind of dynamics going on. And so, I am committed to the ideals of this organization. We just started a new political term. Mm-hmm. At the moment, I'm still the leader of opposition business in the House. And so I intend to do all I can. Because, see, I have an obligation, Ed. I have an obligation. Okay. That's why I was elected. I mean, you can't take office and then do something different. I have an obligation, and I will continue
because I'm concerned for you, you have to leave because you have to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it going to be a clean race? Is it going to be a clean race?
Yeah, it's going to be a clean race.
Is it going to be a clean? Glennis Hannah Martin.
It better, but I know from my point of view. I mean, unless you don't like me saying things like status quo and all that, but I know it better be, because that's not acceptable otherwise.
There's only one thing I have to say, because you didn't have an opportunity to take me to prom. If you do win,
Ed, you forgot that question in English class.
You have to remember. I don't even remember it. But that's what you was into me.
Listen, I was in front of the class. You were sitting several seats in the back of the class there.
I don't remember it.
That's okay.
Okay, but listen to me.
Disrupting the class from behind.
Okay, but listen to me. When you have to go to like Buckingham Palace or like that, if you need it, just call me. Give me a buzz. All right.
You shall be there.
Okay. Listen, what happened? You say, Rogan?
I think he's so last on that list.
Yeah, but it don't matter. Last is better than not on the list at all. A lot of people might fall out. All right. Listen, Glennis Hannah Martin, it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
We'll have to have you again. Here's the deal. If you win or lose, you have to promise you have to come here first. Is that a promise?
First.
It's a promise.
Okay.
But Rogan, that's a promise, okay?
Yes.
That's my girl.
All right, but anyway, we'll see. Thanks a lot. We'll be right back. That's a promise. Okay.
And hopefully it is.
You're an idiot.
No, I'm fun.
Something is wrong with you. Now, if I had done that, you'd have been like, yeah, something's wrong with her.
Well, there's someone is wrong. Something's
wrong with you.
No. You know how you describe me, Rogan?
Crazy.
Fun.
No. Fun. And you're delusional.
Go for the fun. Remember that Carnival?
What was that? Hold on, let me write.
That was Carnival.
Hold on. What was that you wrote? That I wrote down.
What you wrote? You're always writing things down. You never refer to them. Why do you write these things down?
About? Yeah, I can refer to it now.
What did you write down?
Oh man.
It was something I said?
Yes.
Today?
Yes, when Candy was here.
WOT.
No, it was an acronym. What was it?
For what?
For that.
For your stomach?
Edward. Stop it.
I don't. Oh, for TAGG?
Okay.
Right. No problem. It's not a problem.
Where's my
You're one of them anyway.
No, sir.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Let me just say this in public.
Rogan
Smith is flat-chested. I mean, oh Lord, I'm getting this stare. But now see, it's not bad. You know why? Your friend is laughing. Okay, your friend Kendrick. You thinking of something to say to me, eh? Write something down.
I ain't gonna say nothing because
Okay.
I said not to say it.
To what? I didn't say that thing.
I don't care. Now you've alluded to it. Don't hug me. Move, man. I mean it, Edward. Move, and we on the air. Move from me, man. You're so annoying. You just make me so sick, man. You just
You can't get no radio.
You're so tacky, man. You just get up from the
We
microphone.
don't have no. We don't play here with no
You
form.
just make me so mad, man.
But then you decide you'll buy me a grape slushy.
I buy nothing.
All right. So that was great. That was a good interview.
That was a very good interview, and I hope that we have her back.
Well, no,
soon.
not hope.
Oh, she's a
It's a
contributor.
promise.
Wait, but she's a contributor as well.
No, she's promised that once
She said she's gonna come back.
Yeah, so it's not a hope.
I just hope she comes back.
No, it's not a hope. Were
She
you
has
wishing
said
that?
so,
She said she
and
will
I
come
hope
back,
that she
whether
comes
win or
back.
lose, she will come back.
and I hope she comes
Yeah,
back.
she'll come back. So yeah, that was good. It's interesting. You know, there are people
I
who
wonder
are
what that
really
move was.
there are people who are really committed. You know, it's a hard thing, man. That's a hard thing,
Yeah.
you know.
It was
Every night, every day, and you got people.
What you mean as an MP?
Just
what you
in
talking
that
about?
politics world, it's just every day, every
I
night,
don't
every
envy
minute.
her. I don't envy any politician. I don't
It's hard,
because
man.
that is rough. Having
Yeah.
to satisfy thousands of constituents who all
Who are
each
not
have
going to
different
be
needs.
satisfied, and they're not.
And even if you give them what they want, they're not
They ain't
always
got enough.
satisfied.
No,
it's just
it's-
never enough.
It's rough, and of course she has a
It has to be a
constituency
labor of
that's
love.
very, very
It's tough.
challenged, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, she stuck it out, and she's, you know, the people. I still find it remarkable.
Angus loves her.
I think that the islands, like there was Andros, Cat Island, and Exuma,
What's the?
that won the election.
Oh yeah.
Exuma, I think, because I think Mr. Cooper went down there, stood down there, and like, you know, things were, you know, so he, and I
think he
think
was
that
an
I think that the
excellent
FNM candidate went in pretty late as well, but he was there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Andres, I don't even know if they know what's going on. I know there's your people.
Need my eyes.
Okay, but I don't know if they. I don't know. I mean, thank goodness this don't reach there. Okay.
So Androgens ain't here.
No,
to hear
not that
this.
crew. The crew who
They-
was here,
they
yeah,
taking the
they
news
move
back.
out of there
They
because they
taking the news
scared.
back.
Okay, because I saw some pictures one time. I was like, okay, where's that? Okay, because I thought it was like in.
You don't travel to Andros?
I thought no, the part that I saw, the thing, I thought that was like in as my man Trump would say, Nambia. Okay, so
Nambia.
yeah, that's what he said.
He's such an idiot.
Okay, and he said it more than once.
You know, Nambia.
Nambia, you know, in the Nambia they have a very good healthcare system. So and then of course Cat Island. I thought it was harder for those islands to lose because they're fairly remote, and so you know you don't get caught up in the swirl, right? But New Providence to win that seat in New Providence,
I'm the only person.
albeit a black belt seat, as they call it, a black belt seat, but still they lost a lot of black belt seats. You know, when I heard
you heard
St.
what she
Barnabas,
said? They fell around her.
yeah, when I saw St. Barnabas going, I was like, well, where they cut that? They cut that up in Oaks Field.
Boy,
But anyway,
that was a tough one. I can still remember watching the returns.
so it'll be interesting to see if the country is ready. Well, not the country.
Not the country, the
party is ready. My
I
deepest
hope
fear
that's not a. That's
is
that
that they got a lot of people with a lot of
Scooter.
set ways. You know that statement? They set in their ways.
who this woman is.
And this, you know, and the ways are always when you hear set and ways in the same sentence, that's not a good thing. It means they ain't moving forward.
That's so tough
They
because
stuck.
you have so many wonderful women, and not just in the
Just
Bahamas.
people, yeah.
I can say women.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about people who are
Yeah.
so stuck in their ways they will not even give a woman a chance, even
They
though
don't
she
give
could
young
do
people a
better,
chance.
a better job. Same
Yeah,
thing with
yeah.
young people. You're
Yeah.
right.
They just like, well, what do you know?
Yeah. Automatically, you know nothing because of your
yeah.
age.
So and you don't understand it. A lot of it has to do with though this kind of what I get. You know, what I get from the person who, you know, I suppose there's a loyalty factor there. And maybe that's
think
skewed
it's
because the people who get to decide who these people are going to be, you know, the way that the thing is picked, you know, the delegates and everything is picked
Yeah.
is kind of like, you know, I'm sure if like I pick you and Ken to be my delegates, my stalwart counselors.
I wouldn't.
No, you. No, I wouldn't. That's why I never pick you hip to be no stalwart counselor. My thing.
Vote
I
you
can't
out so
rely on
quick.
you. Yeah.
I say, yeah. You got my
In
vote.
fact, we can have a vote just to vote you out.
Yeah. You got my vote. man. You got my vote.
Yeah. Well, see, so as I hear that, I go on.
I got you, bud.
Listen, it's been a pleasure. On Thursday, because this is a great lineup this month. On Thursday, we have Darnell Osborne, who is the chairman of BEC, or BEPL. And so, we're not talking about who do this and who that. What we're going to talk about is policy. What's the way forward with BEC, BPL? I'm still on CLB, so I move off of BEC yet. And in terms of how we're going to have cheaper, reliable power and energy in this country. So join us on Thursday. Yeah. Thank you, Rogan Smith. Thank you,
Edward.
Kendrick Williams.
Edward
we'll see you on Thursday.
Thanks, Ken.
All right.